Hi there, Ron here from Expert On, and today we are talking about the ProFX4 version 2 from Mackie. Now, what it is, it's a 4-channel mixer. Now, it is part of their FX family, so my impression was it had a USB output to it, just like the 8 and the 12. Turns out this one doesn't, so I'd like to start off with that. If you're planning on using this to plug into your computer, their expectation is for you to use some RCA cables to your microphone input and to your headphone input, which, to be honest, is, pretty old school. But the nice part is, in the instruction manual, and this is what threw me off even further, I had to read the instruction manuals just to make sure I wasn't missing something, because they give you software and a license key for it right here. So you get software and a license key for your computer. And then they proceed on page 6 or something like that to actually use RCA cables, thus these kind of guys, to plug your mixer, tape line in, tape line out into there. But I just wanted to get that off my chest right away, so this way we can move on to the good stuff about this mixer. Now, it's a 4-channel mixer, so it's definitely something you're just going to be starting with, or you're using personal use, right? So you're making your own music, you've got a guitar, you've got an instrument, you want to be able to plug your mics in, that sort of thing. It's a great way to start on a mixer, especially if it's just going to be yourself. Now, with the ProFX, one of the big sell features is and I'm going to read it off the box, the Discrete Class A front end with dual feedback stabilization for unmatched low noise performance. All that written on the front of the box. And that's new, by the way. That's part of the version 2 package, and also with ReadyFX. Now, I've been playing around with this. 16 full sounds. Lots of mixers have this now. It's really nice. It actually has a display on the front of it, so it was easy to see what number I was using. Now, understand these are brand spanking new, so I'm playing with this a lot for the first time as we actually are filming it. So I did go through it first. I didn't think it was worth the time and effort to take it out of the box in front of the camera. I really wanted to see what it could do. Now, I did also test out, just before starting this, the actual, what's going on with the feedback, right? So, if we can cancel feedback, that's a really nice thing. A lot of people might use this for karaoke or have this in their house, and it's a really tight space, and you've got a monitor and everything, and it looks really cool, and it's all set up, and it works really well most of the time. But every once in a while, woo, you get feedback. So I thought, well, you know what, this is worth troubleshooting right here, because, if we're going to lose the USB connection because they don't put it on this particular model, the feedback thing is a pretty good reason to buy it. So if we cover the features on it first, and then we're going to do the feedback, and by the way, I'm not holding back any surprises, this thing actually works. So if I turn this on, there we go, I'm on here, and it takes a lot of effort. To get that to actually go. Now, what I did learn is if I turn the actual effects down, it's even better. I can be right next to it, talking away, no problem. I'd have to be right on top, and I'd have to really, it's tone sensitive. So, and if I hold a note or anything like that, that's really where I'll probably catch on. But, to be able to do this, walk right in front of a speaker, and, not get interference from that and have feedback problems, that's amazing. Now, will it get feedback? Absolutely. I can make it get feedback simply by turning up this effects button right here. And eventually, it's just going to roll in, and it's going to have no way to get rid of it. It's there. So all I did was turn up the effects for that to happen. So that's that. So I thought that's great. I had to force it to actually get feedback on it. So, that means a lot. So for the Vita, what do they call it? They call it the Vita preamp. Worth the money. That alone, to me, is a big sell feature. Lots of people are constantly fighting with that. That big plus. Anything live, practice, rehearsal room, you're in your garage or in your basement, that's a big plus. You don't have to work around that. As for the mixer itself, what do we have? Well, let's turn this around. Let's see what I see. Okay, so what we've got is the first 2 channels. Get all these wires out of the way. Okay. So the first 2 channels are lined up right here, and they're both exactly the same. So there's one extra button on line 1, so we'll get that one extra button out of the way, and that's the guitar button. Okay, that changes the entire impedance the way it's set up. They have a nice name for it. They're Mackie. They love to use names for everything, and they call it the High Z in One button, which is right here, and that's for your guitar. Then you actually have your two mic XLR 3-pin jacks on top, and you've got your two line-in jacks. Now below that, they're making it simple. They're just giving it straight line, so they give you your gain controls here and your low cut. So if you have any humming or background noise and you want to cut that out and you're not using for bass guitar or anything, you can certainly hit that button right there. 2-band EQ on this model, so you get a high at 12 kilohertz and a low at 80 hertz. And then we've got our auxiliary for our monitor, because we do have our monitor set up here, and we've got our FX, and then we've got our level controls at the bottom. Neutral is right at 12 o'clock, just like that. And there is a button between the two where I can press and it creates a left and right. This becomes my left, that becomes my right. It even designates it better for over here on our main out. So that covers our first two line ins. I didn't think there was anything complicated about it. The effects dials are here, and they go in proportion with the effects dials here. Now, they do color code everything, and I do like how the colors fall. The green knobs were for the effects, and they run right through here, and then the yellow knobs are, the green knobs are for the auxiliary, my apologies, the auxiliary on the monitor output, and then the green knob here in the effects, if you want to have it on for your monitor, you can turn up the effects separately. This knob here is a white knob, and guess what? It relates to these white knobs down below here. And that makes reference to, of course, our main levels out and our master. So here, when we see our effects in white, think of the white knobs. This is going to control how much effects is going to get shot into the main, which is what it says right below it. Now, the next channel 3 and 4 are lined up here. I've got my RCAs thrown in with some adapters on top of some unbalanced 1/4-inch jacks, and that basically, these input jacks are balanced or unbalanced. That's what it says right next to it. I haven't tried a balanced input, but that's what it says, so I'm going to believe it because it tends to work. And if we're only using one, they do tell you to use the left channel as the mono channel. So that means if I go to the left here, it'll come out on my main as left and right. There we go. Now, below that, there's gain control, again, for my channel 3 and 4. Then there's the EQ, the highs and lows. Again, we've got our auxiliary in green with the monitor out symbol next to it. And then we've got in yellow the effects. Again, our level controls at the bottom. And then we've got our headphone control next to that, our monitor control next to that. And then right at the bottom here, we've got our main control. Now, they do have your tape line here control as well. So that makes reference to this up here. So I've got tape in and out. And going back to how do I hook it up to my computer, they're telling you to use these input jacks here. So no USB connection, no built-in sound card, just use jacks there. That plug there is our headphone jack. This button here is the phono preamp. So if you're using condenser and a studio mic or anything like that, you'd be using this one here. Now, on the top part, we've got hiding behind everything. Let's pluck this all out so we make sure we cover all the jacks that were here. I should have turned that down. Not hiding anything. Here we've got our FX send and our monitor send right here. So that covers all the input jacks. On the back we had ourselves our DC power adapter connector, which isn't a funky connector, which is really good to see, and our overall power switch. So that covers everything for there. So just bear with me a second while I turn this down for a moment. There we go. Now, for using it, I think it was pretty simple. It's like, I'll be honest, if you play a keyboard or any instrument, mixers are all very, very similar. The effects dial goes from 0 to 16. There's a range of effects on it. Then you've got a 5-band equalizer. They do give 2 buttons there, so I can choose to have the EQ go to the monitor. So if I have a monitor on stage, I want to hear what my EQ sounds like, I can hit that button. If not, I can turn it off. And then I can decide to turn the EQ on or off, right? So there we go. I can bypass it or run it. That's really what it's there for. Now, that being said, these are handy. I don't think I'd want to use a tape for an input jack. if I really want to have some control over it. I always do like to have some bass and control. That's usually why I'm using it. A speaker, a monitor like this at home doesn't have the ability to adjust the bass and treble, so I don't ignore it. I just plug into here. It gives me some ability. It keeps the whole setup simple. Again, I turn down my speaker. Yes. I'm going to plug this back in to the left. Plug this in. Now, what do I have plugged in here? I do have my phone plugged in here, right? So this way I can do that. Do this. Let me go back. We'll hit play. Not sure what's playing right now, but I do know it's royalty free. So again, makes it very easy to set up. Use your line levels. If you're using one for the first time, use your line levels to determine how everything's going to balance off, and then go off to your main volume. When turning things up, the last thing you want to turn up is the speaker, because all you got to do is crank it. You want to get yourself everything with the meters they're using here, get everything you're doing up into the comfortable high green, entering into the yellow, not too far up. But that's where you practice. You practice bringing up all your levels so this way it matches. And like I said, I normally work my way from here across and back up. The last thing I want to turn up is the speaker. Every time I turn something else up louder, I'm going to increase the distortion. So if I turned up the speaker first all the way, all I'd hear is like the speakers, like it's like having your car in first gear and just dropping the gas pedal, trying to drive down the street. All you're going to hear is the engine. If I turn this up 100% before I started turning up my microphones, my line inputs, everything else, and then my main, I'm just going to be forcing the speaker to turn up something that doesn't have any volume to it. Anyways, so as durability, I mean, it's nice. I mean, they added some nice, modern day trimmings on the whole package. They say it's kind of like armor proof. I'm going to say it's in its price range is built really solid. People who like Mackies are definitely going to like Mackie product, period. They are going to look at this and think it's awesome. I think it's pretty good. I think for the price point, I wish it had USB on it, but I definitely think if you're buying a mixer and you're not planning on plugging it into your computer, this is a pretty good mixer to start off with. It's easy. The writing is big on it, which is really nice when it's dark or you're just in a room with one light on. So things like that, I mean, it's easy to miss that. I like it. I see all that. I mean, everything's really written well. It may sound odd to take note of those kind of things, but to be honest, it's too late when you have it at home and you've had it for like 2-3 weeks and you start realizing, man, I'm having a hard time reading this. I don't have my glasses on right now. I can see this no problem. I can make this out. So there you go. It comes in a really great looking box. The box, they really talk about all the big things on it, stuff we talked about. I mean, there's lots of other sales pitches on here and all that kind of stuff, the ruggedness and the the mixing tools, and they talk a lot about the 5-band. They get into all of that, but I mean, we've covered all those things, and I'll be honest, it's a mixing board. It's like buying a car. If you can drive one car, you can drive another car. The only difference is you're going to enjoy one more than the other, and that's probably what's happening here. Lots of people like Mackie products. I like it. I think I especially like their mixers. We're now lucky enough to have them here in store, and I think if you got one, you'd probably enjoy it a lot. They're always dependable. They're always reliable, and when you need it, it'll be there working for you. Anyways, my name is Robin. You've been watching Expert Island. We've been talking about the Mackie ProFX4 version 2. If you have any questions or comments, leave them down below. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do. Always like a new subscriber. And if you have, well, thank you very much. So we'll see you soon. Maybe we'll be doing another Mackie mixer. We'll find out.